The 2010s were rife with horror television, with the genre bringing its A-game, hitting us with fresh news stories and thrills to scare us for years to come. With a decade so packed with quality content, I can't possibly discuss everyone's favourites, so honourable mentions go out to Channel Zero, Ash vs Evil Dead, Masters of Horror, and of course Black Mirror. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 best horror TV shows from the 2010s. I'm actually kind of upset that I didn't put Black Mirror on this now. Would have been better. If you like this video, be sure to check out our top 5 scary TV shows playlist right after this. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. Coming in at number 5 we have The Terror. Created by Max Borenstein and Alexander Wu, The Terror is a horror drama anthology series based on the Dan Simmons novel of the same name. The show's first season begins with Royal Navy's polar explorer HMS Erebus and HMS Terror heading into uncharted territory seeking the Northwest Passage. The ships are soon stuck and frozen in the ice, completely isolated from the rest of civilization. The crew aboard must survive the harsh weather conditions and each other while being stalked by an elusive menace. The show is stacked with incredible actors being led by Jared Harris and Tobias Menzies. Now what sets this horror apart from the rest of our list is that The Terror is packed with class and prestige, creating a superb horror period piece that is not short of visceral terrors and utter madness. It's beautifully shot and incredibly isolating, making you, the viewer, feel just as alone and vulnerable as you witness the stranded crew members get picked off one by one in the freezing cold. Season 1 was such a success it sparked another season, The Terror Infamy, which centers on a series of bizarre deaths that haunt a Japanese American community and a young man's journey to understand and combat the malevolent entity that is responsible. Both seasons were praised by critics and viewers alike, with season 1 garnering a 93% approval rating, with the general consensus reading, "A thriller wrapped in a prestige drama package. The Terror makes for a gripping, atmospheric, supernatural horror." Should also note that the book is also worth your time, with it being just as haunting as the show itself. Coming in at number 4 we have American Horror Story. Created by Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk and first released back in 2011, American Horror Story is an anthology horror series with each season being a self-contained miniseries, following a different set of characters and settings and storylines with its own beginning, middle and end. Now season 1, titled Murder House, takes place in LA during 2011 and centers on a family that moves into a house haunted by its previous residents. The show was an instant hit, sparking a ton of subsequent seasons including Asylum, Coven, Freak Show, Hotel, Roanoke, Cult, Apocalypse and 1984. I mean, I've watched maybe half of that. The latter, not great. But 1984, maybe I'll check it out. With seemingly no end in sight, with FX renewing the show for 3 more seasons this year. Now the seasons have varied in caliber, with 1984, Coven and Asylum being ranked higher among the rest, and Hotel being at the bottom of the pack. The show has a phenomenal cast which consists of Jessica Lange, Kathy Bates and the iconic Sarah Paulson. Also Lady Gaga makes an appearance once or twice. I think it was in Roanoke and Hotel. The worst of the series. I mean, she's good, but maybe that's why it was shit. Just kidding, she's great. The show is rich with horror elements and a superb spooky formula that Ryan Murphy has perfected over the years. The show is always something to behold, whether it be a creepy disfigured clown called Twisty, or a coven of witches hunting for their supreme leader, or even a disturbed asylum with incredibly dark secrets. That show has something for everyone and rarely disappoints. The success of the show has sparked companion shows and spin-off series which include American Crime Story and American Horror Stories, the latter being announced back in May of this year. In at number 3 we have Castle Rock. Created by Sam Shaw and Dustin Thomason and released in 2018, Castle Rock is a horror anthology show. I realized I've only included anthology shows on this list. Don't know why I did that. Which features characters, settings and themes from the stories created by Stephen King and his fictional town of Castle Rock, Maine. Now season 1 of this show followed the complicated tale of Henry Fever, a man who was called back to the small town of his childhood in order to deal with a new arrival, played by Bill Skarsgård, who was found in the depths of Shawshank Penitentiary. Like I said, this show is filled to the brim with familiar characters and settings, with it being an exciting Easter egg hunt for any horror lover out there. Season 1 featured some outstanding outstanding performances by a phenomenal cast, including the likes of Bill Skarsgård and Sissy Spacek, who returned for yet another Stephen King adaptation, sadly not as Carrie White though. Now the series returned for season 2 with even more notable names and characters, from the likes of Lizzie Kaplan, who plays Annie Wilkes, iconic, and Tim Robbins, another actor making a return to the world of Stephen King. The first season was met with positive reviews from critics and viewers alike, with it currently holding an 87% approval rating, with the general consensus reading, a meticulously crafted mystery brimming with illusions. Castle Rock is bound to please even the pickiest of Stephen King fans, though mileage may vary for casual viewers. Honestly, if you're a lover of horror and Stephen King, you need to check out Castle Rock, even if it's just for the Easter eggs. Coming in at number 2 we have Marianne. Created by Samuel Bodin, Marianne is a French horror show that revolves around the young novelist Emma, who realizes that the characters she writes in her horror stories may have crossed over into the real world. So she is forced to return to her hometown to confront her demons and all of her terrifying tales that may not have necessarily come from her imagination, but instead a dark force that is tied to her childhood. The show is filled to the brim with nightmare-fueled imagery, and from start to finish is packed full of scares, not even allowing you a moment to settle in and relax, but instead thrusts the horror onto your lap when you least expect it. But that is why the show is so good. You never know what is about to emerge from around the corner. The show, to put it bluntly, is scary as and there are some elements that still linger in my mind today, and that's saying something. Now, despite its popularity, the show was cancelled after one season and will not be returning for a second season like many fans were hoping for. Season 1, however, garnered a 93% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes, with the critics' consensus stating, I quote, "smart and scary with the most unsettling pair of eyes since Nicolas Cage in Vampire's Kiss. Marianne is pure nightmare fuel." Now, I will say the series does slowly lose its steam about halfway through, with it transitioning from a horror and more into a drama, but despite that, it's still a solid show that you should definitely check out. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have The Haunting of Hill House. Created by the incredible Mike Flanagan and released in 2018, The Haunting of Hill House quickly took the world by storm, becoming one of the most successful horror television series out there. Based on the 1959 novel of the same name by Shirley Jackson, with the show's plot alternating between 2 timelines, following 5 adult siblings whose paranormal experiences at Hill House continue to haunt them in the present day, and flashbacks depicting events leading up to the dreaded night in 1992, when the family were forced to flee the mansion. Now, the show is equal parts terrifying and emotionally draining. The show is just as much of a family drama as it is a horror, with every episode presenting a new emotional reveal that will have you sobbing while hiding behind your hands. The show has a phenomenal ensemble cast, including Carla Gugino, Victoria Pedretti, Kate Siegel, Elizabeth Reese, and Michael Husum, with the characters sticking with us long after the doors to the Red Room are closed. From start to finish, we are taken on an emotional and horrifying journey as we unravel what actually took place on the fateful night in 1992, and what powers does Hill House actually possess over the characters. No matter how far they run, Hill House always seems to have a grip on them, calling them back into the home and locking the doors from the outside world. There is never a sense of comfort in the show, at no point do you feel safe in your environment or surroundings, because around every turn is a haunting figure from the Crane children's past, reminding them of their childhood and luring them back. The show is an allegory for the 5 stages of grief, and it does not hide this fact. Instead, it shoves it right down your throat. Now, there is very little more I can say about the show without giving away, but if you have yet to watch it, do so immediately and then watch it one more time to spot the hidden details you missed, particularly the hidden ghosts hiding under pianos and standing in the background ready to attack. Also, season 2 of the show is coming soon, The Haunting of Bly Manor, which features the same crop of actors with an entirely new story. As of right now, there is no release date, but we do know it is set to come out this year. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? With any horror shows that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos, top 5 scary German fairy tales. Don't know why I said it like that. Karen Esslinger said, I love how sometimes you can hear someone laugh at Lucy's jokes in the background. It's Chris laughing, but he's mostly laughing to make me feel better about my bad jokes. So, I mostly just find me funny. Chris sometimes finds me funny. Bane Dracker said, hey Charlie, let's go to Nut Mountain, Charlie. To be fair, when I was scripting that one, I did think of that. Hey Charlie. I can't do it. Lauren Griffith said, if this series expands and continues, we could have a top 5 scary storybook international tales, which would be terrific. Maybe one day, here's hoping. Just keep watching. Sierra Story said, the amount of pain in her eyes is immaculate. I love it. Besides that, I hope you have a good day, Lucy. Hail Queen Lucy. I didn't know there was pain in my eyes. I'm not physically in pain. Am I? maybe. You'll never know. I didn't realize I looked like I was in pain. Usually I just look like I don't care. Edmund Williams said Queen Lucy is a pain in the neck because you're a vampire. When I was first reading this I thought you were insulting me, but then I see your terrible joke and I read it out for the world to hear. Matthew Boyden said please do a top 5 American fairy tales. Maybe, we'll see, if I'm feeling nice. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, see you later.